From these NPCs to monsters disguised as Pokemon. These are 38 Easter eggs you missed in Pokemon. And we gotta start with the time Meowth predicted the future. You see, way back in 1998, in the 66th episode, The Evolution Solution, Meowth said to Jesse and James,
"Keep digging till you hit China."
Fast forward to 2015, and China banned harvesting of giant clams because it is one of the most endangered clam species. You have to understand that these giant clams are so unique, they weigh 440 pounds and can live for up to 100 years. Way to go, Team Rocket! You not only warned the world of the endangerment of giant clams, but also the fact that China would try to save the clams. And that's not all Team Rocket has done. They have also successfully hid the secret meaning of their name for years. Did you know the Rocket in Team Rocket doesn't stand for no spaceship? It stands for Raid on City, knock out evil tusks. Yeah, I don't know why they would name themselves that or why they would hide that from you, but at least you know why they raid on cities and try to knock stuff out. Don't you dare ask me what the evil tusk in Team Rocket's name mean. I'm as confused as you are. But I know that this was an Easter egg that was right in front of your eyes the whole time. But before I get into that, did you know this Pokemon game stole from the anime? Yup, in Pokemon Home, there is a challenge that involves the player withdrawing or releasing a Butterfree. Did you know that this was referencing an episode? And it was none other than one of the Pokemon's saddest episodes, Bye Bye Butterfree. But it wasn't as sad as episode 11, The Stray Pokemon. This episode was so sad. It was the first episode that mentioned that Pokemon are capable of death.
If its tail flame goes out, it'll die.
And the sneakiest Easter egg in this episode, and maybe in this video, is this Easter egg. In this scene, Damien is shown to be carrying around 20 Pokeballs, all allegedly containing Pokemon. Yo, that's illegal. A trainer can only carry 6 Pokemon at a time in their party. So, why was Damien carrying 20? You see, Damien wasn't shown to have a Pokédex. Therefore, he was not forced to use the storage system. Either that, or my man needs to be punished by singing 1,000 happy birthday songs for Nurse Joy. Because the day the episode aired in the US, which is the 22nd of September in 1998, was the 30th birthday of Megan Hollingshead, the voice actress of Nurse Joy. If you think these Easter eggs I have disclosed so far are sneaky, just wait, because these next 34 Easter eggs get even better. Take for instance that time George of the Jungle was snuck into the anime. Yup, in episode 39, Pikachu's Goodbye, when Ash crashes into a tree, Misty says,
Ash, look out, that tree!
This wasn't any ordinary phrase. It was a sweet, sweet reference to George of the Jungle. And Ash wasn't no George of the Jungle. But you know who might have been? Team Rocket! Because instead of breaking their nose like George, they broke the fourth wall. And I didn't even know it until I watched this episode over and over. You see, after Team Rocket finishes their motto, James says,
"We'd like to thank all of our fans for their loyalty and support. This victory is for them."
I was wondering what fans they were talking about until it dawned on me. I'm the fan. You're the fan. James did not only break the fourth wall, he indirectly thanked Pokemon fans in Japan who helped get the anime back on air after that episode that sent 1,000 kids to the ICU. George of the Jungle could never. But you know what he could do? He could maybe identify the gender of a Pikachu in the wild. I couldn't even do that because the producers of this show hid the distinction in a little detail, which is in the tail. You see, the male Pikachus have a standard lightning-shaped tail, while the females have a little dent in the top, making it look heart-shaped. This makes Ash's Pikachu a male Pokemon that is capable of filling an entire stadium with lightning. Pause. Did you hear that? That sounds like the same sound effect from Back to the Future when the DeLorean travels through time. Hold on a sec. Let me play the sound effect of the DeLorean. No way! It's the same! And that's not even the only real-life thing that was snuck into the anime. You too can get snuck into the anime. I will sneak you into the Pokemon world and have Snorlax eat you alive if you don't subscribe to my channel! See, I'm sure you must know that Rhyme City is the main setting of the Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Well, did you know that it is based on London? Not only is it based in London, but it's also partially filmed there. This hidden detail is probably also a nod to the fact that London is the setting for the Sherlock Holmes story, which was was the inspiration for the concept of the Pokemon movie. And if that wasn't enough, Detective Pikachu wore Sherlock's hat. This cap is a deerstalker, and it's the same hat that Sherlock Holmes is often seen wearing. London is a nice place to be based on. So what about a Pokemon that is based on a monster? Frostlass is based on the Japanese legend of a scary vampire snowfall witch. Goes by the name of Yuki Onna. Frostlass isn't the only one. Lotad, who although is so cute, is based on a Japanese water monster called a kappa that has a water-filled dish on its head and a turtle-like beak, which holds water on its head. While some Pokemon are being sneakily modeled after monsters, some are just modeled after a real-world location. Did you know Articuno, Beartic, Arctozolt, and Arctovicious names are derived from the Arctic? See? Articuno? Beartic? So obvious. But Mewtwo looking at New York City wasn't an obvious Easter egg. At the end of Mewtwo Returns, Mewtwo is shown overlooking a faraway city that greatly resembles New York City. If you pay attention to the buildings in the distance, you will see the Chrysler Building and the MetLife Building. If you also pay attention, you'll come to find out that Kanto doesn't only exist in the Pokemon world, it also does in the real world. In fact, it exists in Pokemon because it exists in the real world first. In Japanese, Kanto means east of the barrier. It is a region of Honshu, the biggest island in Japan, and it's where Tokyo is located, among other cities. Kanto is just another real-life location they snuck into the anime. Another one is Saffron City. Did you know Saffron City is based on Tokyo? Did you also know that Paldea kinda draws inspiration primarily from the culture of Spain? Sneaking Spain into the anime was just another Easter egg that blew my mind. It was uncanny. The music, the Pokemon names, and even the occasional use of the Spanish language by the locals of Paldea. Stay with me because we are moving up our ladder to ultra-rare Easter eggs. Listen, locations in Pokemon are not the only things that have been snuck into the anime. Even cars have been too. In episode 14 of the XY series, Seeking Shelter from the Storm, we see Elise in a room full of toys, but the one that stood out was the Volkswagen new Beetle toy. This was so subtle, I almost missed it. Now, let me give you an Easter egg that happened in the Japanese versions of the miniseries, Pokemon Origins. See, when Red received his Charmander, he wanted to nickname it Sepultura, and that didn't make any sense to me because Sepultura means either grave or burial in Spanish. What I didn't know was that this was actually a reference to the fact that a Charmander with the nickname Sepultura appears on a screenshot featured on the back of a box for the Japanese releases of Pokemon Red. The name even came up in the game. The Sepultura reference was cool, but an even cooler one might be this reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. While I was watching the 16th episode of the Sun and Moon series, I caught Team Rocket reacting in a very familiar and extreme way. Just take a look at this expression on their face. Isn't it similar to the over-the-top reaction shots from the JoJo Bizarre Adventure series? I think yes. Seems not even Pokemon can escape a JoJo reference. In the 57th episode of the XY series, I caught Meowth posing like Jonathan Joestar and Jotaro Kujo, and while striking this pose, he even mimics Dio's battle cry, shouting, Man, everything is a JoJo reference. But as far as references go, one worth noting is this Easter egg referencing the influential boxing anime Ashita Nojo. In episode 29 of Indigo League, the punchy Pokemon, when Ash is preparing Pikachu to fight Hitmonchan, the Japanese version has him tell Pikachu to follow the first for the sake of tomorrow strategy. This is the name of a boxing lesson from Ashita Nojo that focuses on the jab. It's funny that Ash had to use moves from another anime to teach Pikachu, who was practically going against Jackie Chan. And while Hitmonchan is Jackie Chan, its trainer in the same episode 29 is an even more badass martial artist. This is Inoki, and he is a clear reference to the legendary Japanese wrestler and politician Antonio Inoki. Their names, chin, and even this red scarf says it all. Dare I forget this belt too? See, in the same episode, Antonio's original International Wrestling Grand Prix IWGP belt was snuck into the anime. In the real world, the first person to hold this belt was Antonio Inoki. Take a look at the belt given to the winner of the Pokemon 1 Grand Prix. Uncanny. Did you know an NFL club has also been referenced in the anime? Boy, oh boy, these Easter eggs are getting me excited. In the first movie, there is a scene where Brock says,
I didn't know Vikings still existed.
And Ash replies with,
They mostly live in Minnesota.
They were talking about the Minnesota Vikings! Damn! Also, did you know that Shakespeare has been referenced? The plot of the episode Wherefore Art Thou is based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Even the English dub title is a reference to a well-known line in the play, Wherefore Art Thou Romeo? The Nadorans are named Tony and Maria as a reference to the musical West Side Story, which is also based on Romeo and Juliet. Speaking of lovers, let's talk about Jesse and James from Team Rocket. As it turns out, Americans know Team Rocket as Rocket Gang. This makes Team Rocket a direct reference to the Durango Gang from Yatterman anime. Just see, Durango is Jesse, Boyaki is James, and even Tanzura is dressed like a cat, referencing Meowth. That was it for the ultra rare. Now let's talk about the legendary Easter eggs, which are damn near impossible to spot. Speaking of the impossible, did you know Ash once turned into one of the best hitmen in anime history? In the 61st episode of the Sun and Moon series, when Ash encounters Buzzwole, there is a part of his face that briefly rumples into a hilariously serious and angular look. I traced this serious expression to its origin and found out that this is exactly like the face of Golgo 13. Another Easter egg came in the episode where Ash, Brock, and Misty's Pokemon made a movie. Brock said his favorite movie from the director is I Saw What You Ate Last Tuesday. That just sounds like his favorite movie is I Know What You Did Last Summer. In the episode The Battle of the Badge, we get a look at Giovanni's office. At first, it seems pretty boring, but if you pay close attention to the background, you will be able to see an Easter egg from the Pokemon Red and Blue game. It is an image that matches Meowth's sprite from the game. If you also pay close attention while watching the 105th episode, you'll catch a sneaky Easter egg in the scene where Ash's Pikachu and Miete's Slurpuff are choosing out accessories. If you look at the desk behind them, you can see something pretty interesting. It's the same pair of glasses worn by Ash's Squirtle when it was still a part of the Squirtle Squad. And why does Squirtle wear sunglasses? Have you ever wondered? Maybe it has something to do with the fact that its number on the Pokédex is 007. 007, huh? That's a number that's now associated with being the spy, James Bond. And what are spies known for if not their obvious sunshades? Speaking of spies, I caught a game character spying in the anime. In the very beginning of the episode, the firing squad, while observing the background, I saw a character that looks like Red wearing a Kalos region cap. This looks like the male avatar character in the Fire Red and Leaf Green game. And while this NPC appeared only once, these NPCs have appeared so much they have almost become main characters. NPCs are supposed to appear once, but when it happens more than 3 times, it is not a mere coincidence anymore. By that point, it is clearly intentional, which is the case with these ladies referred to as mother and daughter. While no one knows the reason behind their reappearance, many speculate that this is a reference to the voice actress of Pikachu and her first daughter. The people who speculate this believe the anime director decided to immortalize the actress in the anime because they were so close. Call me crazy, but I think this is Ash's wife and daughter from the future who somehow traveled back in time and got stuck there. That would be creepy, but not as creepy as what happened at the Poke Center in Lavender Town in Pokemon Origins. While Red is at the Poke Center talking about Ghost, a woman tells him there's a white hand behind his shoulder. He looks, then looks back at her, but she's gone. If you look closely, you can actually see a white hand. Don't be afraid. This wasn't meant to scare you. It is just a reference to an NPC chat that happened in the old Pokemon games in Lavender Town. This white hand did not scare me as much as this character from the Black and White series. I'm talking about Leon. What I didn't know was that Leon is a walking Easter egg. You see, Leon looks a lot like Iyami from Osomatsu-kun. He acts like Iyami and even talks in French, but only in the Japanese version. Just look at those teeth. There is no denying it. Also, in episode 86 of Pokemon, Ruby and Sapphire, we get to see a Godzilla-like movie parody featuring a giant Meowth. As the gigantic Meowth destroys all the Pokemon-piloted fighter jets, one escapes and transforms into a giant Marshtomp. This Marshtomp's transformation sequence is a clear tip of the hat to the Ultraman series. If this video blew your mind, you shouldn't watch this one about Ash dying 6 times in Pokemon. It's even crazier!